Well, hello, Calvary Chapel 14:6. My name is Pastor Pat, and this is where Calvary Chapel 14:6 began back in 2004. And when we first started here in this building, we were renting a room right behind the bar. No kidding. And we just had a handful of people, and it became very clear very quickly that if we were ever going to have any kind of impact in this city, we're going to need to have a place of our own. But the problem with that was we had no money, no denominational background, no credit, and less than 50 people when we left this building. What we were going to need was a miracle. In 2007, we moved here to Cardin Elementary School, now called Calibre Academy. And it was at this time that we realized we're going to need a house of our own. So we were looking for a miracle to get a building of our own. And when we first found this building, they wanted $1.2 million for it, which we're never going to get with no money and no credit. We tried, we turned in an offer, but they turned it down since we were offering nothing down and no proof of credit. Then we went out and raised $10,000 from our people, and we tried again, and they turned us down again. But then God opened up the door for us to get into a bond company, and that less than 60 people that were attending the church at the time, we were able to raise $500,000 in bonds. The problem was we had to get them to agree to sell us the property on a short sale when they wanted originally $1.2 million for it for $500,000. But they agreed. And we went to go and raise all that money. But at the last minute, and I do mean the last minute because it was the day we closed escrow, we were still $5,000 short. But there was a lady in the church at the time that said, I'll give you the $5,000 as a loan. Come over to my house. So on the day of escrow closing, I was going over to her house and she was pulling out cash from underneath a mattress in order to get this done. But we got it down to escrow and God closed the deal. And we promised that we would tell this story every year because it was just so amazing what happened. So there were a number of miraculous things that God did in order to get us into the South Campus building. That was a $1.2 million building that God got us into for $500,000 on a short sale. And because we had no financing and no money, we were able to do it on a bond. I mean, it was miraculous. And then God allowed us to pay it all off so it's free and clear. But God is doing the same thing right here. Because this piece of land, well, it was worth $5 to $7 million, but God gave it to us for $1.5 million, and we paid it off. So just as God did miracles to get us into South Campus, I believe that God is doing miracles right now to get us onto this land right here. And so you're going to hear more about this as we challenge you to pray about, well, what you're going to do to be a part of this, because this is going to be every bit as much a miracle as South Campus was. And so we just want to give God the glory and the credit. He got us into South Campus. He got us into this land. So we're confident that He's also going to give us the funds needed to build on this land. And you're going to get to be a part of that miracle. So just as God did miracles to get us into South Campus, God did great miracles to bring us into this land, which is paid for. So our phase 1 plan is to put a multi-purpose building right over here and at the top of this land. And this multi-purpose building is going to be over 50,000 square feet, 2 stories. It's going to have an 800-person auditorium in it, and it's useful for all of our children's ministries, all of our men's and women's and, our church offices, everything. And then, as the Lord wills, we're hoping to put in a second phase building right over here. And that building will have a 2,000-seat auditorium. And it'll be something that I believe that the whole city is going to be interested in, especially when we put the fountain walk in as well. So this is what we believe that God is doing. We've already started the plans. Now we just have to pray and wait for God to bring in the funds to get started. So as the Lord wills, we want to put our phase 1 building, the multi-purpose building, right over here. In order to do that, we estimate it's going to cost somewhere between $10 and maybe $12 million. In order to do that, we're going to need a construction loan. We can get one of those when we've raised $3 million. Right now, we're at about a little over $1 million. So once we get to $3 million, we'll get a loan and we'll get started right over here. So as you can see, our neighbors are already beginning to build. And you can see that there is some dirt on our land, but they have assured us that they're going to remove that by the time that they're done. After we get started on the Phase 1 building, we also want to get started on the Phase 2 building. Now this building here is going to have a 2,000-seat auditorium, and it's going to have a front lobby that is an apologetics display, another word for museum. It's going to explain why we can trust the Bible, why evolution is not true. There's going to be all kinds of different skeletons in it, all kinds of different artifacts, hence the reason we call it Dinosaur Church. But it's going to be something that's going to draw people in. They're going to go, wow, I could spend an hour, I could spend 2 hours just going through the displays and understanding why I can trust the Christian faith while I'm waiting to go into a service. In order to do that, we think it's going to cost somewhere between $10 and $14 million. So once we raise $3 million to get started on Phase 1, we're going to continue right into raising another $4 million in order to get started over here on Phase 2. Thank you so much for joining us out here on the land today. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, because that's what's going to help the algorithms boost this video. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.